Yeah, so my first real introduction to heavy metal was when I went to a YMCA summer camp and my counselor confiscated my Motley Crue and Poison tapes and made me listen to DRI and King Diamond and Megadeth and Metallica and Slayer and Anthrax and stuff like that. And by the end of that 2-week camp, I gave away all my glam rock or pop rock stuff like that and just became a full-on metalhead from that point on. So as soon as I was 13, from that moment on, I've done nothing but Iron Maiden. All those guys are biggest influences in me, and ever since then it got heavier and heavier and heavier as much as I could.
What was the first album or band that changed you?
Among the Living, Among the Living from Anthrax, and that song Among the Living, just the opening sequence of that record was just, it was kind of like bells, calling you to come and listen. So then it was that, and then it jumped to Creeping Death from Metallica, and then Ride the Lightning from Metallica, and those were definitely the first real hard, intense songs that got me into this new style of music to me.
My first introduction to aggressive music was this band, so I don't really have any metal stories.
No metal stories.
No metal stories.
No, I don't really, this genre is new to me. What I do is more instinctual than it is based on any sort of industry creation or something,
Yeah, I'm the metal guy of this part. Yeah, Iron Maiden was definitely the first real band that I went over the board for. Steve Harris, the bass player, was just the biggest influence in my bass playing and coming up, and the imagery, the artwork for Iron Maiden just pulled me in as well, and things like that. So it's like I remember going and seeing the Seventh Son of a Seventh Son tour. My brother took me and my little band that I had back in junior high, and that was, from that point on, I was just like, this looks really cool, I mean, they're doing something really, really interesting, and I want to play music. So that was my earliest idea of wanting to play music, was seeing Iron Maiden play live. And then it went to seeing Metallica on the Justice for All tour. I went and saw them twice on that, and then I got to meet them after the second time I saw them, which was amazing, and then the next biggest tour experience for me was the Clash of the Titans tour. Yeah, I had Alice in Chains open, which everybody booed them, because who wants to see Alice in Chains when you have Megadeth, Anthrax, and Slayer coming up afterwards? But that was one of those, memorable moments of metal shows.
Kerry King was just telling us how Alice in Chains got, booed so bad.
Booed real bad.
Like the worst opener.
Real bad.
Yeah.
And that was one of those shows where there was one point where I was trampled by the crowd charging the seated area, and I was right by the barricade fence. And I got knocked onto my knees, and there was 2 security guards in front of me holding the fence up, and I just asked them at that point, please don't let go, because if you do, I'm gonna probably get trampled. And I had people literally launching off of my shoulders, jumping over them. And I went home at a white t-shirt. I got home, it was all brown from all the dirt, my face, my teeth, but it was one of those things where it's like your first earliest experience of just an out-of-control show, seats being torn up and thrown all over the place. Seeing Slayer playing Rain and Blood is just a really good experience for a young metalhead.
What was your first concert?
My first metal concert, or first concert?
Metal during this.
All right, first metal concert was the Iron Maiden concert. Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. Ace Frehley's Comet was opening, and I actually got to watch him play the burning Les Paul with the pickups, which, growing up, knowing about Kiss from an older brother, it was just like, okay, this is pretty insane. But yeah, Iron Maiden, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son was my first metal concert.
By the way, I did the back cover of Frehley's Comet.
Oh, you did? Look at this bad motherfucker.
Tell me about some great songs from the era.
Great songs. Indians from Anthrax is, Among the Living record, just classic. I remember the first time seeing it played on Headbangers Ball back when you had to sit there and set your VCR to tape it, because you weren't old enough to stay up between 12 and 4 to watch it. But that song, You know, when South of Heaven came out, that was another huge thing. But even before that, when you had like Rain and Blood, Jesus Saves is a great Slayer song. Master of Puppets, you know, and that was definitely one of those. You know, it was one of those songs from Metallica where you didn't have the heavy. It wasn't just the ballad all the way through. It was the heavy ballad. So it was kind of a new, interesting aspect to it all.
All right, good. Cheesiest songs, and I know you said you Poison, Motley Crue, and all
Yeah.
that. By the way, I did Flesh and Blood back cover. Yeah.
Cheesiest song is "Look What the Cat Dragged In," but I was actually a fan first, and then I just realized how it oozed of like Cheese Whiz, you know. But that "Talk Dirty to Me," I think was another one of those songs I had to say it was pretty cheesy. But I was more of a Rat fan than I was Rat, Queensryche, those kind of things. But the Poison, Motley Crue, you know, Theater of Pain, Shout at the Devil. I actually took my cassette tape of Shout at the Devil apart and flipped over the reel so I could listen to it backwards. And then I realized, how would I know what Satan actually sounds like? So, but I would figure it was worth a shot. It was first earliest memory of Ozzy Osbourne, Crazy Train. Randy Rhoads. I covered it when I was in junior high. That was just an introduction to metal and the fantasticness. Motorhead, Lemmy. I mean, that's one of the first things you can think of when you hear a Motorhead. Ace of Spades. Great song, classic song. The tone of his voice, seeing a guy singing like this definitely enhances it. Megadeth, when I first heard Peace Cells, it was, you know, great bass part. As a bass player, I just thought, okay, there's room for me in metal. Iron Maiden, it's one of the most influential bands for me ever. Steve Harris has been the biggest bass player influence I've ever had, and trying to think of my earliest recollection. I think it was Killers. Killers was the first song I ever heard from that. Judas Priest was one of those songs where I was completely blown away by what I heard vocally happening. It was the first time I was really accustomed to hearing an operatic vocal approach to a metal band, and breaking the law, and breaking the law, and that's all there is. White Zombie, saw them when I was a young kid, when I was actually living back in Connecticut at a nice little club, and it was the first time I really saw a female bass player playing with a metal band, and when I saw that, again, it just made me think, this is a great thing. Slayer, Kerry King's Spiked Bracelet is one of most people's earliest recollections of ever hearing of or seeing Slayer. Just the speed of the sound, the intensity, the frenzy it threw you into. Metallica, earliest thing, Kill 'Em All. You know, Kill 'Em All was such a great record, such an influence. Black Sabbath. There's too much to say. I'll sum it up to best rhythm section I've heard in a long time. Because of Geezer Butler and Bill Ward, it made me concentrate on music as much as I am these days. And that's it. Hi, I'm Evil J from Otep, and I would like to take the opportunity to wish Concrete a happy 20th anniversary. Keep the metal rolling.